Hey, welcome to the Book of Dad Radio Show. I'm Dr. Robert Benson. As always, before we get started, we want to say thank you to Jehovah. Thank you for His Son, Jesus Christ. Thank you for our families. Thank you for work and our ability to do the things we're able to do. And as usual, my main man, Eddie Ice G, is in the house. What's up, Eddie?
What's up, son? How you feeling, brother, man?
I'm doing great, Ed. I know you're the world traveler. Where are you at right now?
I'm in California right now.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
Out in the desert, brother.
Oh, in the desert. So it looks like some rain must have hit that wall in the background or something like that, man.
I'm in an abandoned building. I'm being held hostage right now.
Well, listen, man, we're not gonna waste time talking about what you're doing. That guy that's posing in the background like Mona Lisa or somebody. Let's talk about him. We got a guy that's with us that's a renowned comedian, a guy that's known just about a whole bunch of places. But I'm not gonna waste any time or take his thunder. What up, Dee Lee? Holler at us on the Book of Dad Radio Show. How you doing, man?
Peace, brothers. How y'all doing? And thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Man,
Yes,
thank you for being with us. And as usual, we try to get people like yourself on to come on, tell us your story, what's going on about you. I can tell you one thing I'm familiar with you about is the fact that you are affiliated with Wendy Williams. Talk to us about that.
Wow, he went right for the juggler.
I know, right?
No warm up or nothing.
I know.
No warm up or nothing. He just went right for the juggler. It's everybody knows it's true that Wendy, myself, and a good friend of mine, Tony Richards, aka Smoking Tony, at that time, we had a radio show on the morning show on Power 99 FM. And it was great numbers. It was a great show. It was the best morning show that I was a part of in radio. It taught me a lot, and just being around those two, it was energetic. It was community driven. It was funny, and we had a great time. We had a great time, and that's where a lot of things were given birth and a platform that was offered to me, and it just took me to a different level in my career.
I remember you from Power 99, and like you said, it's always entertaining. The morning show, it just was fun, and you guys work pretty well together, and always hilarious. We appreciate you for your time out there, because we're also from Pennsylvania. We're traveling around right now. But Power 99, man, that really hits home.
I think during that time that Power 99, that whole lineup was, I would go on record saying, the best lineup in radio, period. I mean, you started off with us, myself, Wendy, and Smoking Tony Richards. You had Q Deezy, you had Colby Kolb, you had Kokalani, you had the Hot Boys, Pooch and Mike. You had Golden Girl, Wrap It Up. And then you had DC Tide with the slow jams. I mean, Tiffany Bacon. We had Doc B, Kev. I mean, we just had so many people, so much talent. And, Helen Little, Golden Boy, Glenn Cooper. I mean, it was just, we had a championship squad through and through. There was no other radio station that was competing, and we proved that.
Well,
I agree. That was a good time.
I got a question for you though about the process, if you will, the difference between actually doing what we're doing right now, the pontification, the discussion on air. But talk about performing and how that's different, and what are you looking for that keeps the people who you're in front of, if you will, engaged? Because you don't necessarily have that stage performance, and you don't necessarily have that immediate feedback, if you will, if you're on the air, so to speak.
I mean, what I was taught for on the air was just, at first, when I started, it was at 103 The Beat, and then it was me trying to be funny on the air, and it was like, okay, wait a minute, I remember my producer at that time, Action Jackson. He said, hey, man, you don't have to try to be funny. Just be you. be your regular, us hanging out, and having a couple drinks or eating lunch, and you just being you. You see something, you on it. Just be you. And um, Tony Richards also taught me a lot of that. It was like, because I get on there and I'm waiting for my turn to talk, and
Mm-hmm.
when I hit them with this joke, and that wasn't the case because people couldn't see you. On stage they could see my physical attribute to the joke itself. On radio, I didn't have to do a setup. It just came natural. And when I started doing that and just being me and sharing my personality along with the personalities, my teammates who were on the court with me, so to speak, on air with me,
Mm-hmm.
it just came natural. It's like you didn't see Magic Johnson, come down the court and tell Kareem, yo, I'm about to pass it to you. He just did it. Stuff just happened naturally. Pippen and Jordan, stuff just happened naturally. And that's what I compare it to, because if you really look at it, I don't think that the dream team with myself, Wendy, and Tony would be, even when Tony left and it was Wendy, Kobe, and myself. We didn't have to look at each other. It just flowed. It came so natural, and it was the best time in radio. Period.
The thing that's interesting about that, man, is that you're talking about chemistry, like you talked about some sports analogies where I think are great, and now you're gonna have to put Mahomes and Kelsey in that collab
Definitely.
breath, if you will. Those guys are at a different level, but we're at a point where we can take a quick break. We're going to pick your brain some more because there's some other stuff we want to talk about. And I mean, we just keep getting hit with this, with these dark situations that surround what we love doing and what we love being around.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the one thing that's great about radio, as it were, is that we really don't have to worry about that physicality part of it. But Book of That Radio Show, my main man, Eddie S.G. and Dee Lee hanging out with us today, and we'll be right back.
See why listeners from over 150 countries around the world follow the Book of Dad radio show. Join Dr. Robert Benson and Eddie G as they chat with special guests who share their stories and information that will change your life. Watch and listen on lifeandspiritonline.com or subscribe to the Book of Dad radio show on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcast. Brought to you by the NASCA Network.
Hey, welcome back to the Book of Dad Radio Show with Dr. Robert Benson and me, Eddie G. Today we have the fabulous Dee Lee with us, giving us some knowledge about the industry.
Fabulous.
And yes, fantabulous, of course.
He's posing in the background.
Fabulous.
Hey, Dee, I got a question for you. Couple things. One, on the Wendy Williams story, we were told you are the originator of How You Doing. Give us some truth to that.
Yeah, the phrase "How you doing?" I mean, you could Google it. You can ask anybody in the tri-state area, anybody who followed my career. "How you doing?" was a phrase to a character that I had. The character's name was Shantae, and at that time, we weren't into the whole he, she, them, the identity of what is today. So back then, Shantae was basically a male character, but who was trapped in a female character that was trapped inside a male body. And so when when I would bring that character with me, that was one of the characters that that's how I opened up a conversation, how you doing? Whatever the guest was, whoever the guest was, whether you're on phone and in person, it was almost like it broke the ice, and it created conversation because a lot of times we had a lot of artists and a lot of interviews that just didn't want to interview if Wendy was in the studio or if she was a part of it. I mean, Wendy had her way of doing things. She had her way of creating that attention on herself, and she was great at it, and a lot of times, like I said, we would have, say, Diddy and I created a relationship at that time, but he refused to come into the studio if she was there, so that was a day she wasn't on the show. It was incidents where I ran into, Busta Rhymes would be mad and ready to come to the radio station and do some damage, or, Method Man. And it was like, whoa. And that's how I wound up creating relationships with these brothers through drama, you know. But, the character itself, I would do it on stage. I would do it on radio. I did not know how big the character was. Believe it or not, Kobe Cove had to show me how big the character was, because we used to do a festival called Sisters, and we would do it at the convention center. It was a huge festival, and Kobe comes to me one day and says, "Yo, man, you need to get some T-shirts that say how you doing." And I'm like, "Man, I'm not getting no daggone T-shirts that say how you doing. Like, nobody buying no T-shirts that say how you doing." And he was like, "No, let's do it. I'll go in on it with you." So I said, "All right." So we went and got all these T-shirts. I mean, we had boxes of T-shirts. Man, them T-shirts sold out on the first day, even before noon. I couldn't believe it. I'm signing the T-shirts, and I was like, "Yo, we got to re-up." Like, it was crazy. And then when I started stepping on stages, people within the listening audience, they wanted to hear that. They wanted to hear, "How you doing?" And so I would be doing my set. Somebody would do something, and I would improv and throw Shantae in there real quick. And people would go crazy with it. What wound up happening is, fast forward, I had a deal with HBO, and HBO Zone was being created at that time. And part of my deal is I had to go on tour. They gave us a budget. I had to go on with a tour bus, put a crew together, and we did that. And while I was on tour, the radio station said, "Hey, we still need you to call in to do these characters." And I said, "Okay." And that's what I would do. And then we had a stop in Vegas. And during that stop in Vegas, Wendy calls me. And I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" And she's like, "I just want to let you know I'm going back to New York." And I was like, "Oh, wow. Okay." And she was like, "Yeah, they aren't, giving me what I deserve, this, that, and other thing." Not knowing at that time, they were offering her the financial, but they weren't offering what she wanted. She wanted it to be called the Wendy Williams Show. That,
Okay.
point blank. And they said they didn't want to do that because if one of us left, the show goes with you. So if it's the Wendy Williams Show and you decide to leave, now you got to build a whole new brand all over again. And I was into marketing. I was into branding, because at the time I had I purchased the Laugh House Comedy Club, created the Laugh House Comedy Club. And it just, so it was like, okay, cool. And at that time, our conversation was, "Hey, I want you to come with me." And I'm like, wow, that's pretty big, going up to New York. And it was told to me that she was supposed to do mornings, then they switched it to afternoons. So what I would do is I would go back and forth. I would get off the air in Philly, and then I would jump on a train and go hang out with her 2 or 3 times a week in the afternoon, but as the character Shantae. One day I'm in Philadelphia and I get a call from one of my comedian friends, and he basically says he thinks I'm in New York and asked me to come by to the comedy club that night. I told him I wasn't. He's like, "I just heard you on the radio." And fast forward, I find out that they had recorded my voice, and when people would call in, they would go, "How you doing?" It was a machine called the Vox Pro.
Like doing
it was
a
a
drop.
machine called the Vox Pro. So they just recorded it, and I was heated. I was mad, and I went up there and I was livid. And because, I looked at it, I thought we had a friendship. I was just ignorant to it. And, her husband at the time stopped me in the hallway and he was like, "No, man, let's go for a ride. Let's talk. And y'all built this character together." And I'm like, "We did what? Nobody built this character together. Like, dude, you're not going to, brainwash me. I know what I did, So that was sadly the last time I saw Wendy was through the window of a studio door, because they stopped me from getting to her. And
Wow.
it wasn't because I wanted to physically do something. It
Right.
was like, "Yo, what's going on?"
Yeah,
And
yeah,
when she
yeah,
saw
yeah.
me, she like eased back from the window, like slid over. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, what are you doing? Like, I see you, So uh, Kev, like I said, Kev took me out for us to talk and everything, but I didn't have nothing to say. I was heated, and I left. And the producer at that time, him and I are great friends to this day, and he was like, "Yo, man, I ain't know, my bad." I was like, "No, you don't have no apology." But again, I was so busy in my career, I didn't take care of the things I needed to take care of, and that was trademarking and doing all those
Mm.
things
Yeah.
that I should
Right.
have done. So, hence, the TV show comes, and we could talk about that on the other side. And
Okay.
I don't.
wow,
Well, let me say this.
amazing.
I, I see that happens a lot in entertainment. And I remember listening to Dave Chappelle talking about a guy who took his joke, remember? And there's a lot of situations, especially now, because back then, I guess it wasn't as prevalent because as a personality on the air, today you automatically think branding, merchandising, things of that
Oh
nature.
yeah, oh
Yeah,
But
yeah,
back then, you really didn't go there first. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And
yeah.
not
that's
at
a tough
all.
lesson because now it's something that somebody can take from you and people associated with them and it gets lost in the mix, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we've been, like I said, we could talk about it on the other side because I'm telling you, it's wow.
Mm.
All right, we got you.
Right.
Well, we're going to take a quick break with the Book of That radio show. Me, Eddie G, Dr. Robert Benson, and my main man, Dee Lee. We'll be right back.
You have something special. You have greatness in you. Hello, I'm Les Brown, Mrs. Mamie Brown's baby boy. I want you to spread the word to your family members and friends to listen to LesBrownGreatnessRadio.com. Absolutely. And let me share with you why we're going to be focusing on positive things, because whatever you focus on the longest becomes the strongest. And now more than ever, when the suicide rate has increased over 33%, when the suicide rate of young children between 5 and 11 has doubled, people feeling hopeless and stressed out and powerless. We need programming that can bring out the greatness in them. And that's what we will be focused on. When you listen, it will be an experience that will transform your life. LesBrownGreatnessRadio.com. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Ooh, how you doing? How y'all doing? I'm looking for Dr. Robert Benson.
Welcome back,
And that's the reaction.
Sean
That's the
Tate.
reaction the audience would give.
I love this, man. This is great. Dee Lee was enlightening us on some important aspects about intellectual property protection, if you will, making sure that what's yours is yours and not letting somebody else do it. But the thing that's kind of counterintuitive about that on some levels is that flattery is supposedly the best form of, no, not flattery, imitation is the best form of
Right.
flattery. So
Russell
you want to
Simmons.
make sure. Yeah.
I was,
Go ahead,
I
go ahead,
was,
go ahead.
I was. It really bothered me. Like it really bothered me at first, and then Russell
Mhm.
Simmons. We sat down and had a conversation, and he was saying, "Look, man, if someone feels strong enough to steal something that you created, it shows how strong your creativity is, and you could do it
Yep.
again." And when he said that, it was almost like everything was lifted off me because it was like, wow. Then he started telling me some things that were, taken from him. And I'm like, what? And, so you, at that time, like I said, we didn't pay attention to it. But now I got the best entertainer in the world, Melanie Forster. So try something now, so, but,
No
I
melody,
mean,
too.
so
Mhm.
she keeps me, in check and she's, we had looked at a couple things, but one thing that we sat back and talked about is so many people approached us in regarding to a lawsuit. Um, and it was just like I told Melanie, I was like, why? I said, because we're going to get my audience against her audience. Those that don't know me, who only know her from TV, how you doing in the audience and things like that. Then all of a sudden it's, oh, he just trying to get a check. And I'm like, who really don't know the history, and it was like, nah, let's not even worry about it. And I'm in a happy space. I've been in a very happy space, so sadly, I shouldn't say sadly, but her producers reached out to have me on the show. And then all of a sudden it became, oh, Wendy sends her love. She'll catch you on the next one, and then I was contacted by other producers. I believe they were doing the biopic or whatever. And I remember mentioning during that conversation, I said, well, I don't even know why y'all interviewing me. And they were like, why would you say that? We're so gracious, Hollywood talk. And I was like, because y'all not going to use anything I'm saying. It's the truth.
Not the truth, right?
Yeah, you're not going to use it. Let's just say what it is. So it was like, and what happened? Everything in that biopic was twisted. She had a radio show in Philly, which never was. There was a lot of people upset over the biopic. A lot of people upset. But I look at it like this. If I saw her even today, I got access to her, and I want the best for her, because you don't want to see anyone suffering or anything like that. And,
Sure.
sadly, I'm like, yo, I'm here. You know where I'm at. I don't hold any malice. I don't hold any bitterness. Because why? Why am I hold on to that? It's, like I said, I'm in a great space.
But Dee, let me ask you this though, because we can do this all day. I mean, but let me just ask you this: since withstanding all the things that we're talking about, what are you up to now, and what can we look for from you in the future?
I mean, a lot of things. I've always been a business-minded person. I've always been what people call a hustler, in a sense, a legal sense. I've always been able to bounce back and do what I love to do to create revenue, and I thank God for that. So, stand-up comedy has set me up in life. Radio has set me up in life. I have a beautiful wife. I have beautiful children. Everybody's healthy. I'm able to take care of, my parents and things like that. So it's like, right now we have Lee's Famous Cheesesteaks and Wings that we own. We have Lee Luxury Properties that we own, Dee Lee Enterprises, and even working on a Jazz and Jokes project to produce. So my hands, I stay busy, busy, and I enjoy life, man. I don't do nothing I don't want to do. As I tell people, I don't chase money. I create it, because when you start chasing it, you lose your mind if you miss it, or if this doesn't happen, or you didn't make this sale, or something gets canceled and you lose your mind. I don't do that. My wife would tell you, I don't stress over nothing, because I'm like,
I have a question for you.
If I could see, go ahead.
If you think about, and you had mentioned this earlier, on the air, radio worked this particular way. It wasn't visual, right? But now, fast forward into 2023, you have Dee Lee social media. You have Dee Lee podcast, Dee Lee film, Dee Lee, there's so many opportunities out there now. And what's cool is you're taking advantage of them. You're an entrepreneur and you understand how to use your brand to progress. So how do you feel that it's helped you to be able to do all these different things instead of just the radio?
How has my stand-up
helped
me, or just
how has all those things come together?
Platforms?
Right, all these platforms.
I mean, believe it or not, I tell people all the time, if you have an iPhone, that's $1 million in your hand. You just got to know how to use it. I'm not one that, I'm going to be goofy on TikTok or do dances and stuff like that. Somebody, I remember this was a couple months ago, I was in Philadelphia, and a young brother came up to me and he was like, "Oh man, Dee Lee, I seen you in this, I seen you in that." And he said, "Man, I gotta follow you." And I was like, "Oh man, I appreciate that." And then he comes back and says, "Man, you only got 25,000 followers." And I was like, "Oh, okay," because I never paid attention to that. And he was like, "Yeah, you know such and such." And I was like, the person he was talking about, I didn't know. And he said, "Oh man, he got like 300,000 followers." I said, "Oh well, good for him." And he was like, "Man, but you're supposed to have 300,000 followers." I said, "Bro, let me tell you something. Out of the 300,000 followers that he has, if he does something and asks each one of those followers for 99 cents, will they give it to him?" And he stood there and looked at me. And I was like, my followers, I guarantee you I can get 75% of them to donate 99 cents. You know what I mean? It's about what you use your platforms for. I offer the people something if I'm looking for a piece of revenue. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm not into I got to be on social media every day. I got to take a picture. The biggest thing I get all the time is, "Yo, I'm in California too. Where you at?" I'm like, "Ninja, that was 3 days ago." Like, I don't post where I'm at right that same day. Like, what? Nah, bro.
Not the
So you
ninja.
could go break into my house.
Man, I don't do that. Like, who does that? But people do that. "Yo, right now, look at us. We out here." That ain't. I don't need to. I'm not an attention seeker. You know, I don't do that type of stuff. I don't advertise. There are facts if you investigate. I've helped so many people get to where they are in life, but I don't have to go on air and say, "I helped this person, that person, this person, that person. This is what I gave to this company. This is what I did. This is how they got started." If they announce it, great, but I don't need to make that announcement. Like I said, I'm in such a happy place. At times, does it get to me that you go, "Wow, you know, I did this for this person and they didn't even say thank you." You know,
Hey, D, let me ask you a quick question. D, you mentioned
ahead.
that you have some handles. What are they, real quick, for us?
Of course, you know, my strongest thing for me is my Instagram, you know, which is I am the Dee Lee. You know,
Yeah, that's at the bottom of the screen.
yeah, my Instagram goes with everything. It tags onto everything. My daughters tell me I need to hook up and do all this other stuff, but I let them die. I ain't got time for all that. You know what I mean? I'm not a dude. I don't need, like, I can leave my phone home and my family will lose their mind. But I'm not the dude who's got to constantly be, "What's going on?" Dude, let me sit outside at the pool with my dogs. I'm cool. You can come in and go, "Did you hear? You heard Cat William?" "Nah." "Oh, okay." You know, or I get calls like that. So that's just me, man. I don't know at this age, you know, I just look at, as long as my kids are set up, my family's happy, I'm happy. And happiness, when I say happiness, I don't equate happiness financially. I mean, thank God we're okay, but I don't equate. I told my wife one day, I said, "Hey, if all of this happened to go away, I'm so egotistic, I know I can get it back." I just believe in myself, you know, and other people see that.
But D, well, man, you know, you're so wisdomic, man. It's amazing. We're going to have to close things down a little bit here, and then we got an open invitation for you to come back, because we definitely want to talk more to you about some other things. But Eddie G, wrap up a little bit for us about this great show here, real quick, man.
A great show. Thanks, Dee Lee, for coming in. And like I said earlier, man, I loved you on Power 99. I love what you're doing now. You created history, man. And I just want you to continue, man. And we're going to keep pushing you out there.
No doubt.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, D, God bless you and your family. And Eddie G, as always, man, it's great to hang out with you. But this has been the Book of Dad Radio Show. And trust me and us, we got more for you coming from Dee Lee. It's Book of Dad Radio Show, Dr. Robert Benson, and we will talk to you next time.